The bases dropped on a new edition of Soccer Down Here. It is a fantastic Friday. It's a busy Friday. It's going to be a Friday where we look ahead to Week 3 in Major League Soccer. Atlanta's trip to New England will highlight things on this show. Mike Conti will be with us at 10 o'clock to help us get ready for that one. We'll also talk about fantasy lineups. We'll get John sorted out after a rough first week in the league.
You ain't kidding, brother. It's been pretty bad.
Okay.
You did better than I did. I don't want to hear it.
And that's Jared Smith. He has chimed in from a farm this morning.
Yep.
You want to explain why you're at a farm?
Yeah,
People probably wonder.
Please explain this.
Oh no, I already left the farm, but it's my child goes to preschool
At a farm?
at a very outdoors farm-esque kind of thing where there are chickens, and they just kind of like have class in the woods and spend the whole day outside around a fire pit and learn how to survive. This is a very much a combination of like District 12 and District 1. It's East Atlanta, so it's kind of District 1-ish if we're going Hunger Games, but they got a very District 12 vibe about themselves. We are very close to coal miner's daughter territory in terms of the way it operates.
That was a lot for early in the morning, Jarrett. I'm still not really sure what's going on. We went Loretta Lynn, coal miner's daughter.
So
okay, that explains
I
it.
was going to say, at least it wasn't in District 9 or whatever it was.
Wow.
I am already like at full speed today, so I didn't have a choice.
Okay, fair enough, because that was, wow, I wasn't ready for
Bottom
that.
line is I dropped my kid off at a preschool where there are a lot of chickens and rooster. Like, as soon as I jumped on in pre-show, a rooster bellowed out like 15 feet away from me. I'm like, yep, this is going to go well.
Katie asks, should we
Always
be
the
worried
donkeys
about
not
Jarrett's
braying.
kid? Katie, I'm not going to answer that because I don't want to get in trouble. There's already enough comments out there. I'm going to leave that one alone.
Oh, no. On the contrary, that kid's going to be fine. That kid's going to be better off than most people. That kid can survive.
That is definitely true.
Building early self-sufficiency for Ivy Board.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Ivy Board is pretty self-sufficient and knows what bugs to pick up and not pick up, and is getting better identifying snakes and whatnot, too. That kid's going to be just fine.
Okay. Fair enough. Just checking. J-Dub says, got to raise him up right. Better know how to ride a horse and catch a fish by age 6. Boy, I tell you.
Honestly, we thought about going fishing this weekend, so, maybe that'll happen.
There you go. We're not going fishing tonight. We're going to be at Dry County in Kennesaw. We're going to be up there getting ready for a busy night. Talking to the Atlanta Panthers, talking to NASA Top Hat. Todd Gispert's going to join us to talk about NASA, soccer, and everything they've got going on the boys and the girls side with the Top Hat program. We're going to talk to the Atlanta Panthers. They get ready for their first season in UWS. That's coming up very, very soon. So we're going to be in Kennesaw tonight. A couple things. The usual rules do apply. If you're on site, you can win a $50 gift certificate. If you are joining us virtually, and if you can't join us in person, please do join us on the Twitch pitch. You can earn a $50 gift card from Dry County on the Twitch pitch. You just have to use the Twitter. Send a picture of what you're drinking on tonight as you're watching and listening to the show. And if you are drinking Dry County, you will get a bonus entry. So hopefully you can join us either in person or virtually tonight. Parking is pretty limited, and if you are arriving and maybe arriving just a little bit later, park down the street next to the brewery, Lockhart Drive. There's also parking in 2 lots just past Dry County off of Big Shanty Drive, just past the street, Ray's Way, which is off of Big Shanty. Don't park in any of the business lots around the brewery. They will tow you. They will tow.
Yes.
Don't do that. That would be bad.
No. Yes.
If you
I just love the name of Dry County for a brewery up in Kennesaw, because as a KSU graduate who spent many nights at Highlands, ain't nothing dry about that place. It's such a good name for it. I really appreciate it.
If you are in the Twitch pitch and having questions about tonight, the Flood Project is on board. So you can at the Flood Project. Scott will get you some answers on everything tonight. If you have any questions about how to get there, show starts at 6. There will be some specials starting at 5. And for those of you who are not the big beer drinkers and you want to come, they have a new seltzer called Puro or Puro, depending on how you want to go for the pronunciation. $4 a can, 3 flavors.
Wow.
They use organic agave. And Scott is giving the lowdown saying the margarita one is really good. So there you go.
They will tow.
Not the seltzer. That has nothing to do with towing. The businesses that have nothing to do with the brewery.
I want to see that. If a seltzer can tow your car away, I want to see it.
Yeah.
Depends on how much seltzer you have, I would think.
No, not at all. This show's already off the rails, and it's only 7 minutes in. They also have their own whiskey and vodka and a cider. They've got you taken care of tonight, so hopefully we'll see you in person. We'll talk more about Atlanta, New England. I'm sure there will be some talk about what happened in Champions League and just some general soccer conversation. Maybe we can figure out who Tottenham should hire as their manager because they keep getting negatives from folks. Jesse Marsch, it was revealed that he had turned Tottenham down. Erik ten Hag was the next guy in line from Ajax, and it was revealed today that he has been re-upped at Ajax. Now, according to some reports, he hasn't said no to Tottenham yet. Ajax has extended his deal, but that's going to mean that Tottenham would have to come off the hip with a little bit of cash, and they're looking elsewhere. So we go back to the original conversation about Tottenham and who could be next, and I definitely poo-pooed the idea of, Scott Parker or Graham Potter. They might have to go in that direction. It might not be a Super League-esque hire, which I guess would be appropriate because the Super League is at least gone except for being a figment of Florentino Perez's mind. And you might have to go in a different direction. They're striking out all over the place, John.
Yes, and depending on which paper you look at, and I have updated odds as of this morning on new managers, according to our friends at Paddy Power. But the number one guy on the list, according to Paddy Power, Brendan Rodgers, once again, depending on which paper you look at. That's what I'm saying. Well, yeah. And it could be that Brendan Rodgers isn't interested, that he is interested, or if Leicester wants to let him go, it's going to cost up to £70 million for the release of Brendan Rodgers to go from Leicester to Spurs.
Can we stop with that? Because this is such an unrealistic reality show, the Brendan Rodgers to Tottenham scenario. He's got to be smarter than this, right?
You would hope.
He's got to be smarter.
Which is why I groaned when he said it.
It's why are we even worrying about what penalty there would be? If he leaves, he's foolish. He's absolutely foolish.
Uh-huh.
So why would it happen? Because the Daily Mail said so? I mean, because somebody in a British tabloid said so? Why would it happen? I got nothing. That would be insane.
Yes.
Sam Williamson says, why would Rodgers downgrade to Spurs? I don't necessarily disagree with that sentiment.
Exactly.
It makes no sense. Will is saying, I think Pirlo ends up at Spurs. Pirlo could get fired, according to some Italian reports, if he doesn't beat Udinese.
I appreciate your out-of-the-box thinking.
I like craziness. I still think they should have offered all the cigarettes to Maurizio Sarri, but looks like he's going to Roma.
Speaking of that, I give Paddy Power full credit for their grid.
Oh, no.
Because Sarri is their number 2 on the board at 6-1, and the photo that they have of Maurizio Sarri at paddypower.com is him full exhale on a drag on the touchline. It is an amazing photograph.
Well, yeah, that's probably accurate. It's probably hard to get a picture of our guy Sarri without dragging on a cigarette.
That's probably his resting state.
It is.
Yeah, he looked fairly comfortable in the photo, by the way.
It is. I don't know. I mean, I think Potter might end up being the guy, which might be okay. It's just not the other options at all. It feels very different. But I guess out of what's there, Potter would be my choice. Lampard to Spurs. Chris Ashley throws in on the board just to start a fight.
Yeah. All right. So here's the rest of Paddy Power. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So here's the rest of Paddy Power, and let me know when you want me to stop the ridiculousness.
Oh no.
Eddie Howe at 13-2.
Thought he was going to Celtic. Jarrett's going to get mad.
No, there's been a lot of talk in the last day or so that he's already. They're allegedly putting together the staff for him to come to Celtic. Nothing's official, of course, but yeah, that sounds like that's that direction Celtic's going to go.
Well, Tottenham might steal
Please
him.
tell me that Celtic basically he chose Celtic over Tottenham though, because that will give me a lot of joy, just in pure Schadenfreude reasons.
Jarrett, just like Brendan Rodgers leaving Leicester to go to Tottenham, somebody turning down Tottenham to take Celtic is drunken foolishness. Buffoonery, as Nick Khalifi would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it ain't happening.
And I kind of need that in my life.
It ain't happening. If Tottenham comes calling and Celtic comes calling and the dollar figures are in the same ballpark, he's going to Tottenham.
As he should.
Yes.
But let me just have my drunken stupidity, if I may.
Fair enough. You're
it's
hanging
in
out
my
with
own
roosters
world,
this
and it
morning.
has no bearing on reality. John, continue.
Fair enough.
Nuno is at 12-1. Jurgen is at 14-1.
Tottenham, don't you do it.
Jesus, what?
Don't you do it, Spurs. Don't you dare do that.
Also at 14-1, Scott Parker. Rafa. Ralph Rangnick is at 16-1.
Ralph, I don't think Ralph even wants to coach anymore at this point. I think he just likes being mentioned everywhere possible. I don't even know what he's doing.
And get a big consultancy check from
No, he's not working anywhere. No, he's not doing anything. He's just like saying things in the media, and then he gets linked to every job possible. He's not even consulting. He's just hanging around.
Graham Potter at 16-1.
I like that number. I like that option.
Roberto Martinez also at 12-1.
I think he wants to get back into the club game according to some of the reports, but I don't think he wants that one.
And then they bounce around. They get names. Apparently were in order, but odds have changed. Max Allegri is now 25-1.
No.
That then at 20-1, you have Steven Gerrard and Gareth Southgate.
Drunken buffoonery.
So there you go.
Southgate maybe.
Steven Gerrard going to Spurs.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, Southgate's not quite as buffoonish, but Sam Williamson with one that's not on the list that I'm actually surprised because I think it would get some action if you're trying to generate that. Yogi Love. Why isn't he being mentioned? There's far worse options on that list. Like Jurgen.
Yeah. God.
And see, Southgate will be really interesting, winter of 2022 after the World Cup. That could be a lot of fun in terms of seeing who might go after him after this next cycle. Because I would like to think that he's done after this cycle.
Yeah, I think so too. Johanna says Love has been learning Spanish, expect him to land in La Liga. Yeah, possibly, but if I'm Tottenham and I've struck out on a few different options already, I would be making the call. I would at least want to talk to him. He might turn him down too and decide he wants to go to Spain, but I would make the call.
And they have at 40-1, the last name on their board at Paddy Power is Simeone.
That's okay. That's one I didn't see coming.
I mean, does he survive the summer at Atleti? Do they decide, even if they win the league, do they decide we need to go in a different direction?
No, he'll get the chance to walk, and it'll be up to him. I want to say he's got one more year on his contract. I could easily see him seeing out his deal and then leaving. I don't think he goes to Tottenham now. I'm not buying it. Rangnick is just Burns says Rangnick is doing a good job of pissing off every sporting director he interviews with by telling them how stupid they are. And he's right in a lot of cases, because if you have a problem and your manager got fired, there are many times that the sporting director might have set that manager up to fail. Possibly, maybe, allegedly, reportedly.
Yes.
Rangnick is not doing king activities, Nick. Rangnick is just running around talking. Your obsession with Ralph Rangnick, Nick, is starting to worry me a little bit.
Oh my gosh!
Just with some of the names at the bottom of this, I'm going to throw. I want to throw down like 50-1 Sebastian Becasese just because it's only slightly dumber than some of these options.
No, Yogi Love, if you threw him on there at like 30, 40-1, I'd find a fiver to throw on that.
Well, and I mean, if you think about it, Yogi Love versus Graham Potter or Scott Parker.
In name value, it's a different conversation. Now, the actual soccer, which is kind of the important part, I mean, you can debate that all you want. We just haven't seen Yogi in a club environment in a long, long time.
Right.
Would he flourish there, or would he really fail? I don't know. He's kind of an unknown. But if you're going for name value, bringing in a World Cup winning manager would be a move that a big club would do, rather than hiring somebody from Fulham if they get relegated, or Brighton, or Wolves. I think that's I don't know. It has a weird perception for me for Spurs, and maybe they don't care, and maybe they're beyond caring because they've missed on some other targets they had, but. I don't know. Ten Hag was the one that would have made sense, and now it looks like you're not going to get him. So it's like every one that made sense, you've missed on. What do you do? I got nothing. I would probably expect Nuno or Potter to be the guy.
Yeah,
I think they can sell those easier than Parker.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at teams that have survived, I know that if it's Nuno, you sit there and say, well, Nuno took Wolves from the championship and he brought them to competing for Europa League spots in his tenure at Wolves, and that's how you would start that paragraph. And
you're Tottenham, John.
I know.
Yippee. You did something at Wolves. I mean, no offense to Wolves fans, but when you're starting to talk about Tottenham was a member of the Super League, John.
Oh, I know.
Wolves was not invited to the Super League. They didn't get a chance to say no to that. So, to say he got Wolves promoted and did well, yay? I mean, and Johannes brings up a point, and when you want to get into it, I think Klinsmann would be a disaster of a hire.
Absolutely. That's what I think so, too.
But he's far bigger of a name that you could sell. You'd have to lean on he played for the club and scored goals and dove a lot and did those things too. But anyway, you'd have to lean on that and show.
Director, hell,
I still think that would be the best thing he could do is go somewhere where you've got a good, and you'd probably have to adjust the categories a little bit. You've got a good right hand man who can do the scouting and that stuff, and you've got Jurgen in a corner office dreaming up big ideas and hitting on some because he's a visionary kind of guy. The nuts and bolts of running a team day to day, no, you don't want him doing that. You don't want that. You want him sitting over there meditating and having the candles and doing yoga and having moments of enlightenment that can push a club forward, because he did a lot of great things for German soccer in that era when he took over as the national team coach, the national team manager. The team did well because of Yogi Löw and the staff. The team on the field did better than was expected, but he had visionary ideas that served the nation's soccer programs well. That's where he needs to be. So if you want to do that, which Spurs won't, but if you want to hire him as that, he has to bring in, or you have a right-hand man who can do the day-to-day in that role, getting contracts signed, that kind of stuff, overseeing the scouting, and you have your manager. Cool. That would be the way to get the best out of Jurgen, and you'd actually get some good things out of it. But in terms of selling it, you'd at least have something to sell more than you would in terms of a Nuno, or in terms of a Potter, or in terms of a Parker. But you might not have an option here. Sam, I don't know. Did Nuno extend his contract at Wolves? He might have, but that's one where Spurs could probably buy that out for a decent figure, or there's a way out of it. That's all.
I'm checking to see if he did re-sign or sign extension.
Nick is yelling in German in the chat, so things have completely
3-year contract at the beginning of the 2021 campaign.
And Byrne, this is why I've been really shy about Nuno. He can stay on that contract because the whole Portuguese agent thing that is going on with Wolves and how they always end up with certain players or get players that you're kind of like, why are they spending that kind of money on that player? The whole agent situation with Mendes factors into Nuno. And I agree with Byrne. I don't think Daniel Levy would go down that road. That's why I keep coming back to Potter. If that's the road you got to go down, he's the best option out of that. But you might really have to kick the tires on Rafa Benitez. And that's not a bad fallback. Again, you can sell that. You know, he's won a Champions League.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You can sell that. Spurs fans would buy into that, I think. The football will be all right. But you got to at least find out if he'd be interested. And it's been quiet on Rafa for a while. I mean, there was that talk about him going back to Napoli at one point. That actually might not happen because Gattuso might stay. That seems to be maybe thawing a little bit, and he's got Napoli in a pretty good position. So, Rafa, we haven't really heard much about Rafa in a while, which is a little surprising. Maybe Spurs is the landing spot for him. That might work. Madness, though. I mean, this has been much more confusing than I would have thought it would be. I don't think Pochettino goes back to Spurs. I don't think he runs out of PSG this year either. If they somehow fall apart in France and don't get into Champions League, then yeah, he probably has to leave. But I think they'll get into Champions League. I don't know if they win the French title. We'll see if they can overturn things in the Champions League. But I don't know if it'd be good for Spurs to go back down that road either. It'd probably be better served to go elsewhere. So we'll see. We'll keep you posted on it because I'm sure there will be plenty more about it. Let's get into week 3 in MLS. Let's get into, will Chicharito score another brace or hat trick? He's on 5 goals right now. That is tied for the most in the first 2 games of an MLS season ever. Brian Ching, 2006 Houston Dynamo, had 5. You had 3 players with 4 in the first 2 games. Most goals in the first 3 games, Ante Razov has that record with 6. So he only needs 1 this weekend to tie that. If he gets a brace, he's setting a record in Major League Soccer history. The others with 5 in their first 3 games, other than Chicharito, Carlos Ruiz, El Pescadito in 2002, the greatest villain. Yeah, well, the king of villainry, at least. Amazing stuff.
Which is why he's my king.
Fair enough. Brian Ching, he didn't score in Game 3, but he's got 5 in his first 3. Edson Buttle in 2010 with the LA Galaxy. A hot streak at the beginning of that year that got him to the World Cup squad in 2010. Joseph Martinez in the first 3 games in 2017. That is your current record, or current second place for most goals in the first 3 games. Ante Razov has the record. Can Chicharito break it? We will see when we get to the Galaxy game. Let's get into the schedule, and we'll talk about juice boxes and such. Ted Unkel is your referee for the Red Bulls and Chicago. 1 o'clock, Saturday afternoon. It's on ESPN+. All-time record in league play. Chicago's won 28 times. The Red Bulls have won 19. There's been 13 draws. What are the numbers on this one, John?
Red Bulls at a plus 108. Your draw is a plus 271. And I'm waiting for you to finish. Chicago at a plus 229.
Why are you waiting for me to finish?
I didn't know if you'd get a spit take with that Chicago number.
At 220, they're on the road. Like that's not crazy.
It's a little high for me. So I was thinking some stinky juice boxes at the back of the fridge.
No, it's not a bad number. I mean, I don't dislike the play, but I don't think it's crazy. The Red Bulls have scored goals early on this season. Their defense has just been awful. Chicago, I think their defense is a little suspect, but they found 3 goals in 2 games as well, so they're finding goals. I think Chicago's the better team, but I don't know if we know everything about the Red Bulls yet. So I would lean to Chicago, but I don't really like the I don't really like the matchup, period, in terms of going in any direction on it. I would stay away from it if I had limited juice boxes to work with.
Well, then let me go this way. Your totals, over under a 2.5 at a minus 157, over under 3.5 at a plus 154. 4.5.
No,
I'm not getting into anything with this game. No.
No. I might go. The 4.5 number would be interesting just because both defenses can kind of turn into sieves at times. But that's about like all I would look at with this. I'll watch the game because
it's at
I
1
think
o'clock.
It would be fun.
Yeah.
That's it.
4.5 is a plus 357.
Yeah, staying away from that. RSL Sporting Kansas City, Saturday, noon local kick at Rio Tinto. David Gantar is your referee. Pretty even all-time series. RSL 13 wins, Sporting 11, 8 draws. RSL got a win in their only game so far. They had the bye in week 1. Sporting has a win and a draw. Do both teams come out of this still undefeated? I kind of lean draw here, actually.
That is a plus 256. Real Salt Lake is a plus 147. Sporting is a plus 171.
I kind of lean draw, but
I'm thinking that noon local kick is part of it for me as well, where everybody's having to get up early, everything's getting pushed in your schedules and all that kind of stuff. So that's why for me that would swing it to a draw.
There doesn't need to be narrative driving in the Twitch pitch. We'll get to that. It's from not the most credible of sources, so let's slow down on amplifying things, folks. We'll get into that. We're talking Atlanta United in hour number 2. Tranquilo, por favor. I think the local early kick, I think that kind of stuff is just going to make it a weird one. Sporting's a better team, in my opinion, but I'm kind of leaning draw. RSL impressed me in week 1. Montreal.
See, I don't think it's
good.
The early kick doesn't bother me as much with Sporting because it's not like they're an East Coast team. It might be a little bit of a rub some dust out of your eyes, but not as bad as if it was like New York City having to play a local early game in RSL.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to see more of RSL. They surprised me a little bit in week 1, so I'll go draw on this. I will go with a draw. Normally I'd go Sporting, but RSL's changed my opinion of them a little bit. 3 o'clock Eastern time, Montreal hosting Columbus at Drive Pink Stadium in Fort Lauderdale. It's Timothy Ford as the referee. Columbus coming off of the crazy up and down CONCACAF Champions League match. Montreal has been one of the bigger surprises this season. Can they continue that against the defending champs? What do the numbers think?
CF Montreal is a plus 216. Your draw is a plus 287, and Crew are a plus 110.
This is a weird one, Jarrett, because there's so many different things that you can bring into it if you want to go down each of the different pathways. Montreal's been very good. They've been scoring goals. Okay. Columbus is coming off of a midweek game. They're coming off of kind of a wild emotional game. They've got a chance to go down to Mexico and get through. I mean, they're not out of it. They gave up 2 away goals, but they're 2-2 with Monterrey. That's in the midweek next week. Columbus could have to go, second choice here because they're not exactly at full strength. Their second choice is pretty good, though. What do you think? I got to think on this one.
I love Montreal because I had so much fun there, and I part of me has adopted Montreal as another team to follow. I just kind of think they've been riding a bit of a streak of luck, and I think that's kind of going to come back on them in this one. I'm leaning Columbus on this. If there's a tricky call, are we going to get snide comments again about the officiating and the VAR?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Especially it's a Canadian team. It's a different country, Caleb.
Jose Carlos Rivera will get yelled at by Caleb Porter.
It's French Canadian. It's a different country. Hell, they tried to be their own country away from a different country.
That's accurate.
So, I'm leaning Columbus.
I am too.
Go ahead.
Just because of, yes, I know that they're going to have to rotate at least a little bit, I would think, knowing what you have to do in Champions League next week. So, as we say, their rotated side is pretty good too. So I'll go with Columbus coming out of the blocks pretty mad after what happened midweek, even though it's different leagues and things. And I think they're going to come out and sit there and try to get points on the board.
All right, I'll have the guts. I'll go Montreal. I think Columbus...
I'm still waiting for Bjorn Mars Johnson to come good.
Oh, your boy. I think Columbus is going to be distracted. I think they have to throw everything into the second leg in Monterrey because they do have a legit chance to go through. I'm going Montreal. I think Columbus has to kind of punt this a little bit, and Montreal's in good form. I think Toy and Kyoto get goals for Club de Foot.
Yeah, Mason Toy continues his hot run.
All right. 2:30 local time. Houston hosting LAFC. It's on Univision. It's on 2DN. Robert Sabiga is your referee. Houston has never beaten LAFC. 4 wins for the black and gold, 2 draws. LAFC, I don't know if we have injury updates on all of their injuries yet. Probably later today we might get that. Last week was weird. I felt like there wasn't a whole lot of talk about like Vela with, he was fine. He was substituted by accident in week 1. He was fine. Oh wait, he doesn't play. Maybe he wasn't fine. This would be a statement for Houston if they're able to do it. And they have the attack to do it. I don't know if they are ready for this game yet. I think LAFC finds a way to beat Houston in Houston.
Yeah, I think so too. Houston right now is a plus 184. Your draw is a plus 294. LAFC is a plus 124.
Yeah, LAFC plus 1 anything. That's a little tempting. I think they find a way. I would refrain from anything until I see the injury report, though. I would potentially run away from this game, but I want to see that injury report before any juice boxes are actually being placed. Rossi training, according to Shiva. Vela not.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting.
Kevin Baxter says last time out, Kevin Baxter wrote something that Vela was still out for LAFC.
Last time out. Give us a time frame.
Yesterday.
When did he say that? Yesterday. Okay. All right. Well, we will... if that's the case, then I'll probably just not go anything on that one and stay away from it. Jarrett, what do you think?
I mean, it's LAFC, so it's always, and it's LAFC in the regular season, so it's always going to be really tempting to lean that way. But I really don't want to side with you on this, but I'm in the same boat of I want to see what the injury report looks like before I do anything. Call that cowardly if you'd like.
No, I think it's important in this one. I mean, LAFC is not the same team without Vela and Rossi. They're just not.
Yeah.
You get Rossi back, then I'm on the other side where I've got to see Houston show they can do it before I buy in.
Okay, here's the Kevin Baxter report from yesterday. Bradley expects to have Rossi. Carlos Vela unlikely to make the trip. Expects to have Musovski in uniform. Tristan Blackman has not rejoined team training. So that's the 4 that we're looking at.
Yeah, I don't like any of it enough to be too strong on this one. I probably would skip it. If I had to, I'd still lean LAFC. If you get Rossi back, I'll still lean LAFC. If he's ready to start. If he's only available like off the bench, then no, I'm definitely leaving that thing alone.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's like you get Rossi, I'm with LAFC, otherwise I'm not touching it.
Philadelphia hosting New York City, 7:30 Saturday night, ESPN Plus. Ismail Elfath is your referee. Union are coming off of the big CONCACAF Champions League win. New York City's coming off the big win at Yankee Stadium over Cincinnati. I still don't know who NYCFC is right now. I'm still not 100% convinced. And in going on the road here, the question is, and the Union have a big lead after leg 1 in CONCACAF? Do they figure that they can be just fine in that CONCACAF game and make sure they get the league win here? Or do they decide, you know what, we're going to focus and make sure we rest anybody who needs to be rested, play the kids against NYC, and be ready to go on Tuesday? I don't know. I kind of think they'll maybe rotate some here. They do have some young players who have been on the edges of the squad. I think you could see some guys rested. Probably be the smart play, be the safest play. We'll see if they go down that road. So this would be another one, like, I wouldn't go in any direction until lineups are posted. I want to see that Philly lineup before I make a decision here. If it is 8 to 9 regular starters, especially in the spine, if the spine is pretty consistent, I'll go Philly. If they're heavily rotating, I'll run like the plague on this one.
Yeah. Like, let me see what the lineup looks like before anything involving a Philadelphia decision. Philadelphia right now is a plus 140. Your draw is a plus 257. NYC is a plus 181.
See, that's the thing. That plus 140 is really big for a team as good as Philly. If that lineup is strong, I would be really tempted to go with the Union. Really, really tempted to go with the Union. What do you think, Jared?
I think it feels like a classic. Not, I don't want to call it a letdown game because I don't mean it in a bad way.
Like a tweener?
Like a kind of like a tweener letdown game, like a trap game, but not really a trap game because Philadelphia played their first team lineup last weekend and lost to Miami. They went first team against Atlanta. You're not going to have Jose Martinez for the second leg, but I think they might rest a few guys and run like a mix and match lineup out here. And I think it might be just enough that if New York City has a good day, New York City can take points off of this. I'm really tempted to just take New York City despite not seeing the Philadelphia lineup yet, just because I think it's the third game in a week for Philadelphia. I think we're going to see some rotation and maybe a bit of a let off.
I won't go NYC because I am very intrigued to see how this Tati Castellanos thing plays out. If you've got the manager and people with NYC saying, we're not going to let him go, if he wants to go, how does that play out?
Right.
That's what I'm waiting to see. Saturday night, 7:30, ESPN Plus, Orlando hosting Cincinnati. We just talked about what happened with Cincinnati last week. Orlando, 2 draws on the season, 1 goal. What are the numbers on this?
Orlando City is a minus 200. Your draw is a plus 330, and Cincinnati is a plus 546.
A plus 546?
Mm-hmm. And some places...
Do we know if Cincinnati is healthy?
I think so.
And some places within the composite odds portal have Cincinnati as high as plus 600.
I can't do it. I could go draw. I could be talked into a draw, but I can't do it after getting beat 5-0. Even with the issues they had with no Lucho Acosta, with Teton and the warm-up having to be yanked. That's still a 5-0. I can't buy into that, even with that big of a number that is teasing. I could maybe be talked in the draw, but I think it's an Orlando win.
In the draw, you can pick up as high as plus 345 in the composite or as low as plus 320. But I'm still leaning Orlando here.
Okay.
Orlando.
Minnesota hosting Austin. One of the games of the weekend, in my opinion. It is a 7 Central kick from Allianz Field. Rami Touchon is the referee. There could be some fireworks in this one. Austin looked really good last week. Minnesota has not looked good at all this season. I'm not ruling out an upset here. What are the numbers?
Austin is a plus 287 in the composite. Your draw is a plus 295. Minnesota United a minus 119.
That draw is really teasing.
And you can get the draw, it looks like, north of plus 300 if you go to the right place.
Really, really teasing number there on that draw. This is a backs against the wall game for Minnesota, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I
agreed.
really think this is a little bit of a referendum game in Week 3 for Minnesota after their 2 losses. Maybe the sideshow with David Ochoa and all that, it was enough to throw off the referendum. It should be a referendum game. It should be, because Minnesota should not be 0-2. Not losing 4-0 in Seattle, and no, they should not be in this spot. I'll go draw. I don't believe in Minnesota right now.
Okay.
I'm sad about that, because I like the Loons coming into the season, but I'm going draw.
Okay. I think they get it done at least this time, but I was also looking at over-under. Over-under 3.5 is a plus 130. Over-under 4.5 is almost a plus 300. I think it could be a shootout, but I'll go with Minnesota here in a high-scoring game.
Okay. The over-under stuff, I'm generally really reluctant to even get too deep into. I don't know if this will be a shootout yet. I can see that. I like your line of thinking, but I don't feel that good about it. Jarrett, what about you?
I'm really curious, not necessarily in the result for Minnesota, but how they play. They haven't played well the first 2 weeks, and I think you could get a draw here or even a close loss. And if you look at this game and you say, hey, Minnesota played a lot better, it just didn't break for them, I think you feel a little bit better. But if they come out and they just look flat, they just look bad, everything's off, then we need to start having larger conversations. So I don't want to discount going 0-3 and the impact that can have, but the way they look is what's going to really matter to me.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and that's, I think, some of the referendum on this. They need to win, and however they win, they need to win. But if they don't win with a little bit of style, there's still going to be questions.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to eliminate the questions. Minnesota's the biggest question mark so far in the MLS season, in my opinion. Dallas is another question mark, and if you heard yesterday's show, Nico Moreno was a little down on Lucha Gonzalez and a little down on where Dallas has been this season. They're hosting Portland. Portland's coming off the emotional craziness of CONCACAF Champions League from Wednesday. Alan Kelly's the referee. It's been a really even lifetime series. 8 wins for Dallas, 7 for Portland, 7 draws. They had the great playoff match last year that went to penalties. 8-7, Dallas won the penalties. The most penalties converted in a penalty shootout in MLS history. The first 15 were converted. Portland's the better team, but I do think they have a CCL hangover here.
Yeah,
I really do. An older team, I think, is more prone to it. So I'm going Dallas to win without even seeing the numbers.
Okay. Dallas is a plus 106. Your draw is a plus 262, and Portland is a plus 241. I was thinking draw.
I'm going Dallas to win, but that number is not good enough for me to throw any juice boxes at it. Jarrett, your thoughts?
Give me the draw. I think Dallas should win, but I kind of shared Nico's thoughts about Dallas.
Yeah,
and mine are more about Dallas than I think just the manager as a whole. But I think this is one where it's a draw where Dallas is going to feel like they should have won, and we're going to feel like they should have won.
Could be. I mean, Dallas has questions. Dallas has some serious questions. I just think Portland's CCL hangover is going to be the bigger factor here. All right, Jarrett, this is a big one for you. 8 o'clock Pacific time, MLS After Dark for us. San Jose hosting D.C. This could be bonkers. Kevin Stott is the referee.
Of course, you're playing this at 11 o'clock at night.
11 o'clock at night, Saturday night. I will be up for this. There will be chatter in the Discord because this thing could be absolute drunken madness because we know how.
Watch along with this?
We might have to if I am at all awake after doing the Atlanta-New England game because this one it feels like a must-watch because Almeida, we know how those games go. DC, now, the New England game wasn't exactly exciting, but DC is prone under Hernan Losada. If you go back and look at what his beer shot teams did in Belgium, they're prone to some chaos and craziness too. So you get two elements of crazy in the same place, and this game could be either scoreless draw and like 2 shots on goal, or 7-6 or something. Wando winner 7-6, Katie Weaver says.
Mm-hmm.
It's one or the other.
Yeah,
it won't be like a
this
2-1 interesting, tactical game. It'll be stupid boring or stupid drunk. One or the other.
Yes.
What are the numbers on this thing?
All right. So San Jose's a minus 110.
Yeah, that feels about right.
Draws a plus 244. DC is a plus 321.
Yeah, DC should lose this game. San Jose should win. Those numbers feel incredibly accurate. If I'm picking just a straight-up winner, I'm going San Jose. What are the over-under numbers on this one?
3.5 is a plus 167. That seems kind of low for me. It's because 2.5 is a minus 141. 3.5 is a plus 167. 4.5 is a plus 386. 5.5 is a plus 804.
There's your stinky juice box of the week. I'll put it at over 5.5. I think this one will be stupid.
That's a pomegranate juice box right there.
Yeah, that's the one with like aloe in it that I don't like to drink. I just like to put aloe on my sunburn. I'm not drinking it. So yes, that is the pomegranate aloe juice box on that crazy madness. Sunday, noon local, ESPN and ESPN Deportes. Nashville and Miami. I think this could be a really good one as well. Rosendo Mendoza is your referee. Nashville knocked Miami out of the playoffs last year. Miami is yet to get a result against Nashville. Nashville is yet to have a game that isn't ridiculous this season. Miami, good win on the road in Philadelphia last week. Can they continue that? What are the numbers?
It'd be nice when computers lock up.
Oh, good times.
No, I know. All right, so your Miami numbers. Nashville a minus 109. Your draws a plus 257, and Inter Miami's basically a plus 300.
Plus 300's a little tempting. I'm not all the way in, and like Miami's going to be competent this year, but their win out of the 4 games that have been played involving these teams, Miami's win in Philadelphia was the best performance of the 4. I'm going to sit back and watch. I'm not throwing anything anywhere near this game. Jared?
I think this is full rivalry mode between these two, and I think it will continue to be so, which I'm amused by. They're just close enough together, and combine that with the fact that they came in the same year. This is going to be. I could see this being bad blood and being stupid with at least one red card.
Yeah.
Give me Nashville, because I think Nashville is just basically going to turn a howitzer on Miami. I don't know how many if they'll score, but I can see Nashville be like, hey, we're going to like rack up 25 shots again. Get ready.
I got to go with Nashville here too. I think that this is the one that Nashville turns it around with. And I think that we don't have the Higuains in this one, do we, for Miami?
I don't know if that is official.
So, I mean, I'll wait until the lineup cards, but I'm still leaning toward Nashville getting the win here.
Yeah, I do want to see that. I think they might not be available, but I don't know if that was confirmed yet. We'll have to double check that. Seattle hosting the LA Galaxy. Can Chicharito continue to score goals? Jair Marufo is the referee, so there will be lots of physicality in this one. This is a good rivalry anyway. It's one that kind of gets left off of the rivalry conversation. 11 draws lifetime. Galaxy got 10 wins. Seattle's got 9 wins. Seattle is undefeated with a win and a draw. LA Galaxy undefeated with 2 wins. What are the numbers on it?
All right. Looking at those numbers, it is Seattle at a minus 169. Your draws a plus 324, and the Galaxy are a plus 433.
That Galaxy number's really good.
Uh-huh.
Because I am not sold on Seattle yet. I will go with a brace from Chicharito and a Galaxy win. I got to jump on that.
Yeah. I figured this one might be a shootout too, but I'll go with the Galaxy number in an absolute shootout. I'm going to call for a crazy 3-3 draw in this one. I just think that this one could go completely off the rails. And it's at 9 o'clock on Sunday night, so at least it's not as late as San Jose and D.C. for viewing purposes.
Yeah, kind of after dark, but it's 6 o'clock local, so it's not really after dark.
Right.
So yeah, it might be only somewhat crazy. Jarrett, what are you thinking?
I think that Chicharito does get his brace, but we end up with a really entertaining draw here because Brian Smetzer's going to make a couple pivot tables and find some goals. That's what he does.
It is what he does. I'm going Galaxy. I'm going Galaxy to win. You guys aren't talking me out of it. Vancouver and Colorado, 10 o'clock Eastern time, ESPN Plus. Vancouver's been a pleasant surprise. Colorado's been a disappointment. What are the numbers?
Vancouver a plus 233. Your draws a plus 276. Colorado a plus 104.
It is Vancouver hosting in Utah, by the way.
Yes.
I'll go Vancouver.
Yeah, I mean, I just haven't been all that impressed with Colorado this year, and losing to Austin reinforces that for me. And I'm going to go with Vancouver here.
Jarrett?
I'll take Vancouver. I think you get a better performance out of the Fighting Robin Fraziers, but it's not enough. Vancouver continues a good start to the year and makes Cascadia very interesting. Like, we're going to look up, and the Cascadia Cup's going to be like Vancouver's going to have the early lead, and we're all going to be confused.
Yes, definitely that. All right, we got to get into the fantasy teams this week. Johannes is rolling with Cavallini, feeling like he can get a goal or two. I did not go in that direction. I did go with a couple Whitecaps players, though. Mm-hmm. Maybe one of the first times I've had Vancouver players in my lineup. Let's start with goalkeeper, John. Who you got?
I'm sticking with Joe Willis because of what we've been talking about with Nashville against Miami. So I'm sticking with Joe Willis this week.
What we've been talking about with Nashville is giving up a lot of goals. Like 4 in 2 games.
I know.
You're sticking with Joe Willis after giving up 4 in 2 games?
Yep.
Why?
Like I said,
exactly?
in my discussion of thinking that this was going to be the game that was going to turn things around for Nashville, going up against Inter Miami, that's why I'm sticking with Willis.
Well, okay. That feels a little risky, but okay. Jared, I'm sure you probably out on the farm don't have your fantasy team pulled up, correct?
I'm actually building it as we speak.
Oh, well, there you go.
He's in the office. He's building.
You're going to
do it back home in one piece.
Oh, well, good stuff. I've got Maxime Crépeau. I think Vancouver keeps a clean sheet.
Yeah, makes sense.
I got Crépeau. I'm going with the 3-5-2 again. So I've got 3 in the back, 5 in the midfield, 2 up top. What do you have in your group? Ricky's got Galese in goal for Orlando, which isn't a bad play either. I kind of like that
makes
one.
Sense.
I thought about that one. Who you got in the back line, John?
Zimmerman and Romney going with the Nashville variant. And then I've got Schlegel from Orlando going against Cincinnati and Gutierrez from Vancouver going against Colorado.
You seriously went with Rodrigo Schlegel?
It's Cincinnati.
It's Rodrigo Schlegel. His highlight is being a goalkeeper in a penalty shootout. And that was like really crazy.
He was $5.5 million. That was what I had left on the board, and it's Cincinnati.
Is Robin Janssen back this week?
I don't know, and that would be the other question. If Janssen's back, then it would be that swap.
Well, no, the Janssen would be a lot more than that, I would assume.
Let's see. Let me see where. Janssen's at 5.5.
Oh well, that's fortunate. So you need to, if you're going to go with that road, then play one of them, but check and see if Janssen's going to be in that team.
There you go.
Jarrett, what are you thinking in the back line?
I mean, I'm literally in the process of building it right now. So
you're waiting to see what we're going to say. Basically, is what you're saying, right?
Well, I mean, I'm going to roll with some of the guys. Like I had Anton Tinnerholm last week, had a good game. I like it against Philadelphia just because I've already kind of pegged that as like the quote unquote trap game without being a trap game. Grab John Nelson out of Dallas because I don't really know what's going to happen with Dallas. Dallas and Portland could be a goalless draw, and I'd be going, okay, yeah, sure.
But defensively, that's not bad.
Yeah, no, that's why I would grab John Nelson out of Dallas.
No relation.
No, sorry. Rest of it, I'm with the back line. I don't know yet. I'm really tempted to grab someone from Atlanta because I think they do have a bounce back performance. Not to spoil the second hour of the show, but I think they have a bounce back after what happened with New England, or against New England after what happened with Philadelphia.
We'll see. I'm not going in the back on Atlanta. I've got Gutierrez from Vancouver in the back. He's been very good this season. I've got Paul Marie from San Jose because drunken madness. And Segura from LAFC going to Houston. That's the one that I'm not 100% all on board with that could change. Ricky's got Alanis, Gutierrez, and Miles Robinson. Johannes has got Lovitz, Gutman, and Brad Smith. Only choosing outside backs. I generally do that too, Johannes, but every once in a while there'll be a center back in a matchup that I really like. Midfield, who you got, John, as we kind of wrap up hour number one with some pace?
Jackson Ewell against DC. Gaston Jimenez against Red Bulls. Bebe Reynoso in a turnaround game for Minnesota, or at least offense against Austin. And Latif Blessing against Houston.
I got Reynoso. I've got Christian Espinoza, who's been pretty good for me so far. I got Lucas Stojanovic rather than Jimenez because I think he'll get more involved in the attack against Red Bulls. I've got Barquito, and I've got Randall Leal, who's been one of the better performers so far. Up top, who you got?
In a shootout, Rui Diaz and Chicharito.
I've got Chicharito. Captaining him last week was wonderful. And I've got Robert Beric as my other forward.
I was debating Beric, but going with the shootout with Seattle and LA, that's why I've got Rui Diaz.
Ricky has thrown Cade Cowell into the mix, Jarrett. So you can be very pleased with your friend Ricky Ricardo.
As you should. Cade Cowell's been good. Very good.
He has. He's been very good. That's not a bad play.
Yep.
Not a bad play at all.
Busio is also probably going to be cheap again this week if you need something. And that's going to be tempting.
Another tempting possibility. Jarrett, you've got to go make your fantasy team and possibly go back to the farm and whatever other madness you are involved in. You will be involved in other madness on Saturday night, the Salty Takeaway.
Yes, and be keeping up with the twos and the first team as well. Nick and I will share our opinions, wanted or otherwise, after the game. And then, whether or not we do a watch-along, I'll be active for whatever the hell happens at 11 o'clock that night.
Yeah, I'll at least be active in the Discord for San Jose and DC, because I want to see if it's as crazy as I think it could be.
It should be.
Well, thank you, Jarrett. And the Salty Takeaways absolutely wanted. The response to the Salty Takeaway has been very, very good. People are very excited to hear it every week. So you guys keep killing it.
Okay, we will.
All right. See you later.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. It's like listening to Shay from Irving from the Dan Patrick Show. Okay, whatever. Bye.
Basically. Okay, John, you got to get this in quickly because we got to get Mike Conti on the line. That usually makes for a better read. Let's see if that is the case today as you tell us about our friend Steve Apolinsky.
Apolinsky & Associates, LLC, proud supporters of everything soccer down here in the SDH Network for wrongful death and serious injury matters. One place you need to go, and it is said firm, Apolinsky & Associates, LLC. 3 different ways you can do it. Get a free consultation by picking up the phone, giving the firm a call, 404-377-9191. Shooting Steve an email directly, steve@aa-legal.com, or going on the World Wide Web, large device or small, typing in aa-legal.com in the address bar, hitting the arrow key, the return key, the enter key, the arrow, whatever advances you to that next page, and you get the homepage for Apolinski and Associates LLC. All the tabs, all the pull downs where you can sit there and look at all of the different cases that they can handle for you, all the different rewards that they have received and awards that they have won for their over 30 years of experience, for their over $40 million in judgments that they have received for their clients in Georgia and Alabama. So 2 time zones in play, the Eastern and the Central. And if you still have questions from everything that you've seen on the website, there's a pop-up window that pops up, because that's what pop-up windows do. They pop up 24/7, 365 and a quarter. Thank you, Chris Hutchison. For wrongful death and serious injury matters, since they've been recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend Magazine for being one of the top 100 firms in this here state of Georgia, it is Apolinski and Associates LLC. The website is aa-legal.com. Bring on Mike.
Mateo will get on that. And we will talk to Mike Conti about Atlanta and New England, which is coming up Saturday night. Mike Conti is now with us. What's up, Mike? How'd it go last night with the draft?
We survived. No one cursed. No one got fired. So I think we did okay. It was a fun night. I always enjoy draft night.
Yeah.
It's one of the really, really fun nights of the year. I really enjoy the NBA draft as well. And just kind of as an aside, I think it's so cool. The NBA draft, the number 1 overall pick was from Atlanta, 3 of the top 11 from Atlanta. In the NFL draft last night, the number 1 overall pick was from Cartersville, 3 of the top 11 from Atlanta. And John, what was it? 5 kids from Georgia last night? 6?
Yeah, you had the one going to Washington from Long County.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, it once again, it shows what you're talking about when it comes to the high school scene here in the state of Georgia, one of the top 5 in the country.
I just think it's so cool. And I hope for, like, the youth soccer coaches who listen to this program and, the high school coaches, athletic directors, people like that, the job that you all are doing to help young men and women in this state in any sport. I mean, not just football and basketball. It just speaks to how lucky we are here in this state, number 1, and number 2, just the high level of talent in all sports, including soccer, that this state, this region is turning out. So really, really cool to see. But it was a fun night. And Jason, honestly, I'm glad it's over a little bit, because now I can focus on it. But I think it's going to be a really fun night. And an interesting night, Saturday in New England, because I'm still not exactly sure how good New England is. I know those who do the, air quotes, power rankings seem to be very, very high on them. And I don't know if what they've accomplished the first 2 weeks necessarily matches their high rating, but we can get into that.
Yeah, I don't really know exactly what to expect out of New England yet. They haven't really been at 100% yet either. They added some players in the offseason that are just starting to get into the mix. Bruce Arena kind of played with the lineup and the formation a little bit last week, which was a surprise. He went kind of empty bucket midfield with it, a 4-4-2, which we've seen them kind of do even when it turned into something different, like Gustavo Bo would drop in and play as a 10. He didn't really do that last week. He kind of stayed up high, with even being like a target forward at times, back to goal. So then it was like, well, okay, maybe Carlos Heel is going to step in and cut inside and leave the right side to Brandon Bye. Not really. He kind of functioned as a winger. So does New England decide, hey, we played 2 up top last week. It wasn't great, but we didn't create a ton of chances, but we got the win. It's not, and we know that will change Atlanta. That will make Atlanta play 3 in the back. Do they decide to go down that road again? Because for me, the 3 players that can win this game for the Revolution are Buxa, Bo, and Heel. Those are the 3 players that scare me for New England.
Yeah, yes. And Brad talked about Carlos Heel yesterday, how he's someone that they're going to be really focused on. Now, that was in response to a question about tactics, so I don't think that necessarily means that Carlos Heel's name is on a blackboard at the training ground right now.
It should be.
But it should be. Yeah, I mean, look, I thought he was one of the best players Atlanta United faced in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought he was one of the best players they saw. Now, they saw him twice in like back-to-back weeks at the end of the regular season, the playoffs, so maybe it's just a little fresher in my memory. But he was best 11 in 2019. He was newcomer of the year in 2019. He was hurt a lot of last year. He's a nice player.
But when he got healthy last year and really kind of keyed them down the stretch, you take the minimum requirements out of like winning a stat category. He was the leading chance creator per 90 last year, and he is doing that again this year. He's creating 3 chances per game. That's 7th in the league. It's the leader for New England. He can score himself, and he'll find his goals, but he's such a great playmaker.
Yeah. But what's interesting is New England is 1-0-1. That's 1 win, no losses, 1 draw. They've only scored 2 goals. The goal they got against DC was an own goal. So they've only scored 2 goals. Couple things really stand out to me about New England, that they have not really taken a ton of shots. And look, we can get into the reasons why, but they're 19th in the league in shots attempted. They're 20th in shots on target. One other thing that really stands out to me about New England, and I think this is going to be crucial with Chris Penso as the referee tomorrow, New England's committed the most fouls of any team in the league in the first 2 weeks. And they've already had a player sent off. They had a player sent off to Juan Jones at the end of their Week 1 match against Chicago. Chris Penso is never afraid to blow the whistle.
Quick trigger.
Yeah. Chris Quick Trigger Penso. And he's a good ref. But he is not afraid to be a blackjack dealer. And he is not afraid to go to his pocket in the first half and pull a red. In fact, that has happened a couple times in Atlanta United matches to Atlanta United opponents. He had a first half red card against San Jose in 2019. He had he sent everyone off in that match. He sent Chris Wondolowski off on the bench. He sent Matias Almeida off. But he had a first-half red card in that one. He had a first-half red card in the Houston match in 2019. That was a dissent first-half red. That's something I'm going to be really, really keying in on tomorrow in the first couple minutes, because we saw Chicago kind of on skates, having trouble dealing with Atlanta United's pace and movement. How is New England going to deal with Atlanta United's pace and movement? How early do they crank up the tactical fouling? And what kind of tolerance does Chris Penso have for that? Because I see scenarios like we had last Saturday where Barco's going to earn some fouls in some dangerous spots potentially. And Mulroney could earn some fouls if Mulroney's the starter, if it's Dom. Whoever your right winger is going to be able to earn some fouls. Marcelino Moreno is going to be able to earn some fouls in dangerous spots. I think that is a major, major key to this match tomorrow. You saw Atlanta United last year have a lot of trouble dealing with, say, Miami, that did a lot of tactical fouling against them. I don't know if this is going to be just tactical fouling tomorrow or if it's just going to be a soccer game, where things are going to happen, because it is still a very small sample size. But when I look at some of the statistics with New England, that's one that just jumps off the page at me right away. The number of fouls they've committed in the first 2 weeks, coupled with the fact that you have Penso as the center tomorrow, I think that could be a major storyline, or I could be totally wrong.
You'll be entertained by Bruce Arena's quote from last week, because they only created 5 chances against DC. And he was asked about, are you concerned with this? He said, no, I'm not. Again, I don't know if you saw the game tonight, but it was very difficult for us to get in to the final third of the field without being fouled. So he was a little frustrated with his team getting fouled, yet they lead the league in fouls committed.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're in the bottom half of the league in fouls suffered, so
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's Bruce being Bruce.
That is very Bruce.
I think this is going to be such a fun coaching matchup, and the chess game that we're going to have tomorrow night between Heinze and Bruce, I think could be fantastic. And Heinze was very complimentary of Bruce Arena yesterday. He was asked about him in his pre-match press conference, and I think this is going to be a lot of fun to see how the chess pieces are moved. Especially, it's a little bit different this year. This isn't like a 2019 match where you're limited to 3 subs. I think here's a match where you could have subs really, really impact the game state tomorrow, especially if it is kind of tight and tactical in the first half. I think with Lisandro Lopez almost certainly out, Heinze might have like one fewer option maybe off his bench to open things up, but I could see a scenario where Jackson Conway makes this trip up north. And that could be really, really cool and entertaining. But both managers are going to have major, major impacts on this game tomorrow. And the fact that they're going to have 5 subs as opposed to 3, I think it just enhances how much that they can impact the game tomorrow.
Well, and you mentioned the 5 subs and getting into the idea that we are still in CONCACAF schedule compression. You've got a game coming up at Subaru midweek. It's leg 2. How different do you guys anticipate the 11 being, knowing that you've got that second leg there? And Heinze has said consistently he's not going to rotate.
I'm not thinking about the second leg at all. I hate to say this out loud, but you're probably not going to get much out of your second leg down 3-0 with 3 road goals against you. So I'm going all in on this one. Now, I think what could be interesting again, Joseph played. Did he go the full 90 on Saturday? I'm trying to remember off the top.
Or no, on Tuesday.
On Tuesday. He did play the full 90 on Tuesday. Yeah. So Joseph played the full 90. I guess we don't know officially, but I can't imagine Lisandro Lopez is with the team right now.
Right, I don't think so.
So that does get a little bit interesting. I think you're looking at Tuesday as whoever's left will play. But as far as Saturday is concerned, tomorrow, I'm not positive Joseph is ready to start back-to-back matches yet.
And we saw Kubo come out and give a boatload of energy when he was subbed in leg.
But I don't know what Kubo can really give you for 90 at this stage of his career.
Yeah, it should be okay. He should be okay.
Oh, well, but then let me bring it. Yeah, I agree, but
fitness-wise, he should be okay. I think quality is a different conversation. But fitness.
I didn't want to say it. He's been very unlucky in front of goal.
Fair enough.
He's very, very unlucky in front of goal. Guys, I think we're going to see Jackson Conway tomorrow night. I'm not saying we're going to see him as a starter. Maybe we will. Wouldn't shock me. But I think we're going to see Jackson Conway tomorrow. And I think he's going to play. I don't think we're just going to see him on the bench. I think we're going to see him play. The other option you could have is you play Jackson Conway on Tuesday in kind of a YOLO situation in Philadelphia, knowing that your chances of going through are very, very
kind of like leg 2 last year against Club America.
A little bit, yeah, exactly. Tuesday is YOLO as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I don't want to say they have no chance, but they have almost no chance to make up 3 road goals. So you're putting your best 11 out there tomorrow night. I'm sure the conversation has been had with Joseph. Can you give us 60? Joseph probably feels like he can give them 60. I don't know if the physio staff necessarily agrees. That, to me, I think is one of the big, big questions, John.
On turf back-to-back.
On turf back-to-back is a great point, yeah. I think that's maybe my biggest question about selection for tomorrow, because the fact that you play on Tuesday does factor into that specific quandary. I think everything else, I'll be curious to know if Brooks Lennon is available. Heinze says he's training. So
that's part of the recovery process. It's kind of an unknown because you have to train and then, does he have any issues? If you train and no symptoms flare up, then you can be, cleared to go. But if you have any issues, you're going to back off, and we just don't know yet.
We just don't know. So that's part of it, too. I think that's part of the question. But I could see Atlanta United with a very, very similar lineup, starting 11, on Saturday in relation to what they did on Tuesday, this past Tuesday. In fact, it wouldn't shock me if it's identical. I do think the bench will be different, obviously.
I don't think Joseph goes 90 if he starts. I think he will be on a maybe 45. At least 45, and let's see. I don't think he goes past 60. Conway's possible. I don't want to rule it out. I think Kubo's going to be in that mix. I mean, I think Eric Lopez is also a possibility if you want to turn in that direction as well and play him up top rather than out wide. I know there's conversation about him working on being a winger. He hasn't forgotten how to play up top, and players move positions all the time in this kind of setup. So I think he can figure it out, and you can trust him in that spot. The biggest question about the way it's shaped, and this is the great side of having somebody like Santiago Sosa, is you can go in and say, we think they're going to play a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, and we think Gustavo Bo is going to drop into the midfield a lot. But, Santi, if Bo stays up high, then you're going to have to drop into the back line. Midfield, you're going to have to drop a little bit deeper to cover that spot. You don't have to change. You don't have to make a sub to change your shape. That's where Sosa becomes so valuable. And there is a bit of an unknown because they were 4-3-3 week one. They were 4-4-2 in a pretty true 4-4-2 with a flat 4-4-2, two holding midfielders that sat deep on last weekend against DC. So you do have a little bit of a question about how New England will line up.
I wonder if this is something that we're going to see more Atlanta United opponents attempt to play with two up top and maybe force Heinze's hands a little bit into tactically what they had to do on Tuesday. Not every team in this league is set up to play two up top.
Yeah,
but
very true.
But the ones that are, I would be curious if that's maybe a trend we see going forward.
I think they need to be careful about it. I mean, with what you saw from Atlanta in that shape and in that setup in the first half against a very good Philadelphia team on Tuesday, it's not like it completely nullified everything. Like Atlanta handled it pretty well.
Quite the opposite. I mean, it actually worked out really well for Atlanta United.
Just didn't finish. Like the quality of play and the chances were there. So I think if teams try to do that thinking it's a weakness, they haven't paid attention to Sosa because Sosa can flip it either way on his own. That's what's so impressive is he's the same player if he drops into the back line or if he sits in front of them as a holding midfielder when you're in a 4-3-3. He gives you the same kind of things. So if teams think they're going to get one over on that, I don't think that works out. And I think Bruce is smarter than that. I just don't know if Bruce is settled on what's his best group right now because, you've got Wilfred Kaptoum who came over. He was at Real Betis, wasn't really breaking in La Liga. He came out of Barcelona's academy, so he's a very technical player, a very good soccer player. Missed some of preseason, so he's not all the way there yet. Christian Mafla, the left back, injured. He's not 100%. He says he's about 75, 80%. Traustason, the Icelandic winger, he just joined the team about a week and a half ago. So he's still kind of getting embedded. And I don't know if... And Maciel is another player they signed from Revs 2 who came over from Botafogo last year that, man, it felt like every interview in preseason they were talking about how great Maciel is and how much he's going to play in the midfield and how good he is on the ball. And he's been hurt. So he's not 100%. I don't know if he's going to be ready to go this week. I don't know what their best 11 is.
Well, right. And it's interesting because Traustason, as you said, he came over a week and a half ago and still played 80 minutes for them on Saturday.
They love him. It's just he's not fully into the system yet. And I don't think they figured out exactly how to account for that because you've got speed out wide with this New England team, with Buchanan, with Bai, with Jones, with Mafla, whoever's at left back. Traustason's a little different, he can come inside. He's not a burner out on the flank. He can make up some of the space if they go 4-4-2 by cutting inside, giving the left wing up, letting the outside back get forward. So I think New England will end up being better than they are now. I just don't know at what percentage of a completed project they are at this point. They're a little bit hard to read coming into this.
Do you also think Bruce may have changed his lineup a little bit last week just because of the Jones suspension?
No.
Do you think that forced his hand in any way?
No. I think he's trying to figure out how to fit the puzzle together and what to do with Bo. Like, Gustavo Bo is such a unique player in that he can be a number 10. He can be a second forward who sits deeper, and he can be a traditional number 9. He can even play out wide, I think, in a 4-3-3. He can do all of those things. Where is he best with what you have in Carlos Heel, who is one of the best players in the league? What you have in Adam Buxa, who is one of the best, like, big number 9s, kind of old school throwback number 9s in the league. Great in the air, great on set pieces. A better player with the ball at his feet than he gets credit for, but he's kind of a throwback target forward. So where does Bo fit? I think at times when they get out of sync, Bo drops too deep, and he tries to get too involved in the midfield. But if they go 4-4-2 and kind of leave that space, if you go empty bucket, you go old school Bob Bradley style here with what he did in the U.S. national team. I think World Cup 2010, he did the empty bucket. So you've got 2 holding midfielders. You've got the wingers out wide. You've got the 2 forwards. So you've got the emptiness in the middle there. Bo can drop into that space and get on the ball. Heel can come inside and get on the ball there and be difficult to pick up because he's coming from an outside position. Traustason can come inside and get on the ball there. So it's really difficult if you're Atlanta and you're Santi Sosa. And that's the space that you would ordinarily fill. But if Bo stays up high, okay, then Heel comes inside. Somebody's got to come with him. If that's Bello, okay, Bello's got to track him. Bello's got to come in and be that additional player. I think what we saw on Tuesday, he can do that. If it's Traustason from the other side, then it's got to be Lennon or Gurr or Hernandez coming inside. Or Walks, if Walks gets to start at right back, which is also possible too. So you've got a really weird thing with New England that this is where Bruce doesn't get enough credit tactically, but that's difficult to plan for because you don't know who's going to pop up at the top of the 18 when New England gets into the final third. It could be one of 3 different guys.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be really, really interesting. And, defensively, they've been pretty good too. And I think one player that we tend to overlook a little bit when we talk about New England is Matt Turner,
Yep.
who was, really, he led them almost to the Cup final last year. Was second in the goalkeeper of the year voting, was their team MVP. And he's off to his usual fine start this year. He got rocked a little bit in the first half in Chicago, but since then he's been phenomenal. And I just bring that up because on Tuesday we saw what an impact a goalkeeper can make, especially when you're creating all these chances in the first half, and can sometimes even be a little bit demoralizing. We've seen that a couple times. So I know we don't talk about the goalkeeper a lot, but this is one of those opponents where the goalkeeper is a major factor. And by the way, this has been New England for a while now. They've always had strong goalkeeping, obviously, with the exception of the 7-0 match at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. They've always had really good goalkeeping against
Go old
Atlanta
school
United.
with Matt Reese. Matt Reese was really good for them back in the day for a long time on those teams that kept getting to the Cup final.
Cody Cropper was really good for them. I mean, Brad Friedel obviously was their manager at one point.
He wasn't so good for them.
No,
but
he wanted his players to be yelled at in the
goalkeeper.
supermarket. That was a problem.
I just that's one player. We're going to spend a lot of time, I think, tomorrow talking about Bo and Heel and Booksaw, but that's the one that makes me nervous because we've seen it already once this week. You can have a goalkeeper that can be very, very frustrating to break down in Matt Turner.
Their center backs are good too. I mean, Henry Kessler's starting to get that little bit of mixing in with the senior national team. He was part of the U23s. One of the best young players to come into the league out of the college ranks in the last couple of years. Andrew Farrell, this is his 9th year with New England. He's a player that never gets enough credit in this league. He's turned into a really good center back. He was a right back for the first part of his career. He's converted into center back. Really good. Really good. It seems like he always has a big game against Atlanta as well. The one thing about Kessler and Farrell is they're not exactly fast. Farrell's decent pace, but they're not exactly fast. They're not Miles Robinson fast. So can you exploit that? Can you get those runs in behind to make them pull back deeper? And then can Hindman and Barco, if they are in those roles, if they can exploit the space that's created? Because I think New England is a team that can hurt you going forward right now, but I think you can get at them with your attack. You just have to convert your chances.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Foxborough has been a venue where Atlanta United kind of turned things around in 2019, but they had a really hard luck draw there in 2018 with a questionable late penalty. They played to a pretty good scoreless draw there in 2017. So, Atlanta United should feel confident going up there that they can get a result. And I guess, again, if you're looking for silver linings of what happened on Tuesday, certainly this team should be very, very confident that they can create chances. They've proven that all year. They're averaging almost 10 created chances per match. So they'll have that level of confidence. But, if you really want to squint and look hard at a silver lining for Tuesday, I'm not worried about this team looking past Saturday to the second leg on Tuesday. I don't think you have to worry about that now. I think they'll be incredibly focused for not that would be a major concern, but you do wonder sometimes. You're not going to be looking ahead to Subaru Park on Tuesday down 3-0 with 3 road goals against you. So, again, just kind of really squinting for a silver lining there, but maybe I just found one.
Real quick, Mike, I know that we've talked about defense on both sides, but what do you think, before everything got out of control on midweek, what do you think of Alan Franco's at the back for Atlanta United?
I thought he was good, but I thought he ran out of gas a little. I know Jason and I talked about that on stoppage time. Jason kind of saw it a different way. I thought he just he kind of hit a wall a little bit, but I thought he was good. I thought his chemistry with Miles was good. Mm-hmm. So no concerns there with Alan Franco at all. And he's going to be solid for this team. He's going to be outstanding. Anton Walks is still going to be in this mix, though. Mm-hmm. And, here's where, again, your question about Tuesday becomes relevant. Does Miles Robinson maybe get a night off? I don't think it would be tomorrow, but maybe it could be. But does Miles get a night off? And maybe now you want to see Anton play with Alan Franco. I think that's one thing I would kind of like to see how that works. But no, I thought he was good. No major complaints. Nothing really stood out to me one way or the other about Franco, honestly, on Saturday. I did think he ran out of gas a little, but that's just my opinion.
All right, we don't have a billboard, but we need to make sure that everybody knows where they can find us on Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to be on Star 94. 6:30 will be the airtime with the Five Stripes Countdown. 7 o'clock will be the kickoff. So that's Star 94 on your radio in Atlanta. You can go to Odyssey.com. It'll be on the Star 94 app. Been working with the app team up at the training ground today. It's going to be on the Atlanta United app, so you'll find it there.
AUDACY Odyssey.
Yeah.
Not ODYSSEY.
Even though it sounds a lot like it, right?
Yeah.
So we'll tweet the links.
Yeah.
Jason and I, we'll send the links out. I've already done it. We'll do it again tonight. We'll do it again tomorrow. We'll do it again tomorrow before the match. So that's where you'll be able to find us. And we're doing everything as normal as we usually do when we're on Star. So full 30-minute pregame, full 1 hour, full-time report. We'll do all of that.
Do we have a DJ set afterwards?
Star is doing a new Saturday night show.
See, there you go.
But I don't think they're going to do it this week because of us. I think we kind of ruined that for them. But yeah, honestly, Jason, you bring up a good point. Like they play a lot of fun music. So if you want to kind of get in the mood for a full night of soccer action, turn on Star around 4 or 5 o'clock and enjoy the music. It's all really
I do really like their music mix. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I won't lie either. I mean, when Leanne and I drove to Florida a couple weeks ago, we were listening to Star all the way past Macon. I looked at her. I'm like, yeah, I like this. This is pretty good.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. I feel like I need a glow stick at times.
A little bit.
It's pretty good. It's very upbeat. So that'll be a good way to set the tone before we come on at 6:30, I guess.
Yeah. One more question. Bernd wants to ask you about your thoughts on the Hawks finish and where they finish in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I mean, I think so much of it's going to depend on getting Trey back. I would assume if he doesn't play tonight, he'd play tomorrow.
Yeah.
Bernd, everyone below the Hawks right now is still losing, like Boston's been losing. The Hawks could actually clinch a play-in round berth tonight, believe it or not, if they win in the Chicago loses. So I think the Hawks, if I were to predict, I'd say they probably end up 5th or 6th.
I think they do finish top 6. They asked me that yesterday on the morning show if they'd finish top 6 or not. I feel pretty good about them finishing top 6.
The problem is I don't love their schedule. I mean, Philadelphia tonight, which is going to be really tough, and then Portland on Monday, Phoenix on Wednesday, and then Indiana back-to-back, your last road game of the year on Thursday. You do have all those home games the final week of the year, but 2 are against Washington. They're playing great right now. Mm-hmm. So of the 9 games left, I think for the Hawks to be top 6, they're probably going to have to go 5-4. I don't think they're going to need to go 6-3. 5-4 in this last 9, I think will be tough. I really do. And it's not an indictment of the Hawks. It doesn't mean they're playing poorly. They're just injured.
Yeah,
they're really injured. They could go into this tonight with the exact same lineup they had on Wednesday, and that would not be good because they only had 4 healthy backcourt players. So it sounds like Trey's really close. It sounds like Hunter is really close. The Herter thing is very, very confusing.
Yeah.
Because he's getting shots up, but MRIs are showing certain things. So I'm really confused on that. I can't figure that out, but sounds like Bogdanovich is really close. Sounds like if Capella would miss tonight, he probably would not be out for too long. So knock on wood. Once this team gets healthy, they're going to be really tough to beat.
All right, I lied. There's 2 more questions. Katie wants to know, will the Hawks open up more capacity if they make the playoffs?
Yes, that's the plan. They haven't formally announced it yet, but Travis Schlenk did say on Tuesday on the radio here in Atlanta that they would almost double what they're currently doing for the playoffs. You know that video board they have behind the bench?
Yeah.
They're going to take that out and let fans sit in that part of the arena.
Okay,
so,
that makes sense.
They're at about 3,000 now, so I don't know what almost double would get you to, if that gets you to like 5,900 or somewhere below that. But that's what Travis Schlenk said on the radio this week.
Makes sense. And with your busy schedule this weekend, do you have a menu yet?
No menu. No, menu. It's going to be a lot of well, I think we're getting pizza for lunch. And that will probably end up being dinner or a late night snack too. But I'm it stinks because the weather is beautiful and I really do want to be doing some grilling and just there's no time right now. So hopefully next week is interesting because there's no Hawks on Friday, no Atlanta United on Saturday. So I might be able to do some things next weekend. So I'll start planning for that.
There we go. All right, Mike, thanks. And we'll have Countdown to Kickoff on the Atlanta United YouTube channel coming out later this afternoon as well.
Yes, I will talk to you in a little bit.
All right, sounds like a plan.
See you guys. Take care.
Mike Conti 929, make sure you're following him. We're actually going to have to cut the show just a little bit early because my schedule has blown up during the morning show. We do have a taping a little bit later for Countdown to Kickoff and other things. We will have Emerson Hindman joining us on the Countdown to Kickoff. Nice. Looking forward to talking to Emerson and picking his brain a little bit. So last questions, rapid fire. Is there anything on Twitter we have to hit before we call it a day early, John?
Kind of light on Twitter, but a couple of things. Carlos Rangel posted the fines that the teams at the bottom of Liga MX are going to be issued for being at the bottom of Liga MX. Atletico San Luis is being fined 120 million.
Hold on. The fine is to replace being relegated.
Right.
Liga MX did the 3-year Promedios relegation kind of idea where it's not like one bad year would get you relegated. But Liga MX to try, according to them, to strengthen the second division, because what kept happening as John is turning into the aha take on me video again, what was happening a lot was a team would get promoted and then they would just sell the rights. As I just completely mess up the screen, which is good times. They would sell the rights to somebody who got relegated. So it was kind of defeating the whole purpose. And you'd get teams that would come and go and move and change their names. And I think Jaguares de Chiapas changed their name like 5 different times while they were in the first division. It was ridiculous. So they said they weren't going to do promotion relegation for a set period of time. But then they instituted these fines. If you're going to be relegated, you would go into having to pay a penalty. I don't think it's exactly a penalty to stay up, and I do wonder if that will change because of pandemic losses. But yeah, they're significant amounts of money.
Yeah. Trying to go through my currency translator really quickly, but Atlético San Luis, Atlas, and Juarez are being fined for instead of being relegated. So Carlos asks, Mexico got rid of Pro Rel. Teams would be relegated, still have to pay for being bad. I think it would be interesting if MLS did something like this. Do you think fans in favor of Pro Rel would like this?
No, because they just want Pro Rel. Period. I don't think they would be in favor of it. They'd probably find a way to say that it's horrible and killing the game and all those things. Again, Mexico did it because the second division, Pro Rel wasn't working the way that it should in Mexico because teams weren't strong enough to come up and stay up on their own. They would basically sell their license because that was the better payoff for them. That's a problem. I mean, that's a problem. The system was broken. They got to fix that. We'll see if they do. But I think you also see that you've got some countries that's a problem. You just don't have a strong enough second division. I don't think there is a strong enough second division here yet. I think there's still issues in the second division. I think there's a huge gap between MLS and USL Championship in terms of overall budget, in terms of overall quality. It's a giant gap. And you don't have something like the TV contract in England to make the gap up with parachute payments when you go down and the fat TV check that's going to be sitting there waiting for you when you come up. Like, you don't have that to bridge the gap. You know, I think one of the arguments that I've always gotten from people about you have to do it this way. Well, why? Well, they'll make so much more money in the first division. From where? There's not, I think, this magic pot of sponsorship money that's sitting out there saying, no, we're not going to support the Tampa Bay Rowdies right now. We're not going to do it. Oh, but you've been promoted. Now we will triple or quadruple or 5 times or 6 times your budget and give you that much money to work with. I don't think that's out there. I don't think that's the case. So you've got to figure out other ways to do it. MLS has done the other way with expansion. There's limitations to that, and we're about to run out of, I think, realistic expansion spots. Could something like this be a plan going forward? Not for a while. I think USL is on a really good path. I think you want to let them continue to work as they are. I really think you want to let them continue to build. You do have to sort out what the reserve teams look like, and if that's MLS Next, if that's Championship, if that's League One, if you can kind of pick and choose. That's going to get sorted out over the next year or 2, maybe 3. Once you get past 26, I think you can actually start to create plans of MLS is fully formed. USL Championship is where it is at that point. Can it turn into an actual second division with teams that are viable to move up and can house teams that come down? And you can change the business model of MLS to actually allow that to happen, which ownership would have to sign off on, which would be a big sell for them because they paid for a team in MLS, not a team in the USL Championship. There's so many elements that make it hard to do. I don't think it's likely anytime soon, but I don't think you can even really come up with a vision of it. Not even a mission statement, but a vision of it until after 26, and then you can maybe start to dream and think. Burn says, do you think the Twos can/will win in OKC? Burn, so it's almost impossible just without knowing who's going to go and who's on that trip. OKC didn't look great against Tulsa, so that opens up the possibility for sure. It's a much longer trip. It's a different kind of trip. Sometimes with young teams, they can, be more challenging with these kinds of things. But a lot of it will depend on what the plan is for Saturday and Tuesday. Because Gabriel Heinze talked about it yesterday. They're going to stay out on the road. They're not going to come back from New England. They're going to stay out and go to Philly. Do you take a larger group with you, knowing that players probably won't play in both games? That could limit what the Twos have in Oklahoma. So until I see that lineup, I can't even really hazard a guess. It's winnable because I think the energy are so-so, but we just don't know what they're going to take.
A couple more on Twitter, and you also have to let me know what my grades were for reading the promo at the time.
They were wonderful because it was fast. We have no time to go back to that. One more on Twitter. You get to pick the best one.
All right. Okay, well, then I'll do this. Let's see. See, they're all. I'll blow through them quick because there's only like 3. Shiva's super excited to see us play again. Just hope we give up. If we give up a goal early, we don't open up so early and give up more. Continue to do what we do and carry the game. I believe our approach will be different on this game being regular season, also being on the road.
Composure. You got to keep your heads.
Yeah. John Roper, can't listen live. Interested to see if Lennon's back in the 11 and how Heinze decides to line up against the Revs. Arena's a great manager. They have plenty of firepower. Agree.
My guess is you come in with the idea of playing 4-3-3, but if Sosa has to drop, you can adjust on the fly, and you can make that work. I think we saw it on Tuesday. They can make the kind of amoeba-ish look work because you've got guys who can play they're multifunctional. They can play in different positions. So the idea, I think, would be 4-3-3, but Sosa drops into the back line if Bo stays up high, and you adjust based off of that.
And then last one comes from Chris Ashley. The Triumph are hosting North Texas this weekend. He wants a Triumph prediction before we go.
You tell me. What you got?
I got to go with Greenville at home. I'll go 2-0 Greenville over North Texas. It's 7:00 ESPN Plus Saturday night. Tormenta hosting FC Tucson at Irk Russell as well at 7:00 on the Plus.
1-0 Greenville. It's tight. Dallas has got to start thinking about playing more young players, mixing them in. I think some of the guys they've brought in and spent some money on aren't necessarily a huge upgrade from their kids. I think they need to play the kids. That might hurt North Texas a little bit. So I think it's 1-0 Greenville in the home opener.
Dallas J gets another clean sheet. I know that'll be a surprise.
Yes. All right. That's going to do it for us. Sorry we have to cut a little bit early. Be on the lookout this afternoon for Atlanta United's YouTube page. That will have our Countdown to Kickoff show. And then we will have our show tonight from Dry County in Kennesaw. 6:00 is when it will go to air. You can show up at the brewery starting at 5. There will be some specials for you there. The new seltzer, all kinds of cool stuff at Dry County. The Atlanta Panthers will be there from the UWS new women's team here in town. Their season starts soon. NASA Top Hat will be there. We'll talk soccer with Todd Gisbert, one of the longtime local players and then turned into a coach, a very, very good coach, by the way, and director of coaching as well. So we're going to pick Todd's brain a little bit. Potentially some special guests. We'll see how that goes. And we will take your questions in the last half hour of the show. And sometimes it goes completely off the rails, like asking John what vegetable he would be if he was a vegetable. That sparked all kinds of hilarity.
Choice D or choice C, none of the above.
Dios mío, not eat the vegetable, John. Just what vegetable would you be? All right, that's going to do it for us. Don't forget we're on Start 94 tomorrow. Please, if you can share that, as Mike and I blast that tweet out, please, if you can share the word so people can find us. We will be hammering that over the next 24 to 30 hours. So your help would be much appreciated. Thanks, y'all. Have a good rest of the day. Mucho platio.
Mucho platio.